What's the story, Morning Glory? What's the word, Hummingbird? Thank you so much for clicking on my channel and for joining me for this book review of Garcelle Beauvais's book, Love Me As I Am, which is her, I don't know if you will call it an autobiography or a memoir, or if there's any difference between the two. I don't know. So I finished reading the book, and overall, I gave it 4 out of 5 stars. Now, when it comes to autobiographies, I don't think I can be too critical because the person is writing about their own life, and so they have the right to put in as much or as little information as they want. So I cannot be too overly critical with, for example, if I feel like they didn't speak on certain subjects enough, if they didn't reveal enough, if they didn't go deep enough in certain areas. I can't be too critical. I am going to be critical, but not too critical to where, I have to give it like an extremely low rating because she didn't talk about the things that I wanted her to talk about, because this is her life and she can talk about whatever the hell she wants. So, like I said, I gave it 4 out of 5 stars overall. It was a good read. As far as the reading experience of the book, it was a good read. It flowed for me. It flowed very well. It kept my attention for, I would say, 99% of the book. It kept my attention. When she got too preachy and too philosophical, I would kind of zone out a little bit, but and she does that a lot throughout the book, but for the most part, it kept my interest. Um, I don't know how much she was involved in the actual writing of the book. I don't know if she just gave her ideas to a ghostwriter and then they put it on paper, or if she was like actively writing certain passages or of the book, or if she wrote all the passages in the book. I don't know, but you can definitely hear Garcelle's voice. When you're reading it, it's as if she's actually talking to you, because you can actually, because Garcelle has a certain way of talking, like we all do, and you can definitely hear her tone, her inflections. You can definitely hear that as you're reading the book. So I feel like if she was heavily involved. I think maybe she was probably she I imagine her, if she didn't actually sit down in front of a computer and type it out, I imagine her like doing voice recordings of her talking about her experiences, and the ghostwriter putting it on paper, making it in some type of book form, putting it on paper. She starts with her childhood and she goes on all the way through the present time, but she does not go in chronological order. And when I read the reviews of other readers on Goodreads, some people had a problem with the fact that she wasn't going in chronological order. I didn't have a problem with that. I think that kind of made the book interesting, that she didn't go from, year to year, year to year, or decade to decade to decade, or whatever. She just kind of, her book was organized in categories of her life. Like she would talk about her childhood, then she would talk about, her modeling days, and then she would talk about, her relationships. Then she would talk about her Hollywood experience, working in Hollywood. Then she would talk about being a mother. Then she has a chapter devoted to infertility. So she doesn't go in chronological order. She just has her life categorized in these moments. And that's how the book is presented to us. So, for example, in the chapter about relationships or men or whatever, she would touch on infertility because she experienced that with her second marriage. But then you read a little bit further, she has a whole entire chapter devoted to her infertility journey. So that's how it goes. Sometimes the subjects would overlap a little bit. She would kind of hint at a particular incident of her life, and then later on she'll go into more detail about it. So I didn't mind that it was not in chronological order. When a celebrity or any famous person, especially a celebrity, when they write an autobiography, I think what draws people to that autobiography, if you're not like a die-hard fan or stan of that person, where you would just read anything about them, what draws people is that you want a little bit of tea spill. You want a little bit of tidbits on other celebrities, or you want some scintillating recall of some experiences in their life. That's kind of what draws us to celebrity autobiographies or celebrity biographies. You want to hear the stuff that you really won't be able to find on Google. The inside story of other people or of things that they experience that you're not going to readily find anywhere else. So she does give that, but because, she's still living and whoever she could have talked about is probably still living as well. She doesn't want to burn any bridges, and she doesn't want any lawsuits or bad blood. So she treaded very lightly, but she did give scintillating information on certain events of her life. She talked about, it was interesting to know about, I don't even know like how much to reveal about the book, because I don't want to, say everything that happened in the book and then people don't buy it, or like I would have that kind of effect anyways. But I'm not going to give too many spoilers, but there are certain celebrities that we all know of that she's had experiences with that she does talk about. Very well known, A-list, internationally known movie stars, celebrities that she's had relationships with. She does talk about that. On the show, she talked about her Bill Cosby incident. And out of all the celebrities that she mentioned that she's had personal relationships with, the Bill Cosby incident was it was very underwhelming. It wasn't what I thought it was going to be, because on the show, The Real Housewives of Beverly Hills, when she was, talking about her book and saying that, she had this encounter with Bill Cosby, her saying that made it seem like, something like, it made it seem more than what it actually was. So it was very underwhelming when I got to that part of the book. As far as her own relationship, she does go into, talking about her first husband, talking about her second husband. The second husband, I don't think she revealed anything that wasn't already known through the internet or through whatever she said about her marriage on the show. So with her second husband, not too much was revealed that we probably didn't already know. Like, we knew about the affair, how that came about. We knew about how the affair was exposed. She reached out to someone at the company that her husband worked for. He's a talent agent, I think. I think he's some type of a celebrity agent or a talent agent. And the agency that he worked for, there were people there that Garcelle was pretty close with. And so when she found out about her husband having the affair, she had reached out to someone that worked at the agency, the same agency as her husband, who was a friend of hers. And she told them about the affair in an email. And that email ended up getting leaked. And it was all over the publications when it first happened, however many eons ago. And this was all talked about on the show. You can definitely look this up online. So when I got to that part, it was like, okay, I already knew about this. It's interesting that she talked about it and whatnot, but yeah, I already knew about this. There was information about her. I don't even remember what all she said about her first husband. It was a very short marriage. She got married when she was really, really young. They were both young, so it didn't last very long. Now, she did reveal a lot of stuff about her oldest son, Oliver. And I know that she had permission. She must have had permission from him to talk about him in the way that she did. But she does, not too much detail, but you get the gist of it. She spent a lot of time talking about the struggles that she had with her first son. He went through a moment in his life where he was really struggling, and she does go into that. And thank God he made it through. And he's no longer in that place, but she does talk about that. I know that must have been probably one of the most, if not the most painful thing for her to talk about in her book, was the struggles of her first son. Now, as far as her second husband, what I enjoyed reading about that part of her life was she just really complimented him a lot on how when they first met, she already had Oliver, and how he automatically like took to Oliver and Oliver took to him. And he was very involved with Oliver. And she talks about that a lot in her book, how her second husband automatically accepted her son. They had a relationship, they had a bond. He was very hands-on with him. It wasn't like, that's your son, that's your problem. It wasn't like that at all. He really took on like a second father figure role for Oliver. I felt I wanted her to talk more about, but like I said, she could talk about whatever the hell she wants to talk about because it's her life and it's her book. But I wanted her to talk more about her twins. But she really doesn't talk about her twins a lot, a lot. Maybe they didn't want a lot of themselves exposed in her book. She does talk about the infertility struggle that she had when she conceived the twins. She kind of does go deep a little bit with that. You know, the feelings of not being able to get pregnant when you really want to have a baby, the feelings that she had about other women getting pregnant around the same time that she was trying to get pregnant, and how she dealt with that, how she overcame those feelings of jealousy or envy. So that was really interesting to read about. She raves and raves and raves about her friend group. She loves and loves and loves her friends a lot. It's funny how she doesn't mention her friends by name in the book. Their names come up afterward at the very end, I think in the acknowledgement section. In the acknowledgement section, she gives special things to, like people she's worked with, people who helped her with the book, people who she's worked with in Hollywood, her family, and a section for her friends. And she names all of her friends. And that's when you see Cherie's name, and you see all the people that she considers to be her dear friend. Cherie, of course, Will Smith's ex-wife, Sherry Shepherd, Eddie Murphy, Arsenio Hall, or Jamie Foxx. There's a whole bunch of other people that she names, like A-listers that she names as her really good friends. So, but in the book itself, she doesn't really mention her friends by name, but she talks about how important her friends are. She has certain friends for certain reasons, you know what I mean? Like she'll have her good time friends, and then she has her ride or die friends. So she talks a lot about how important her friends are to her. So I felt like there were areas where she could have gotten a little bit deeper. For example, when it came to the affair of her second husband, and she did reveal exactly how it happened from beginning to end, like how she found out, how their relationship changed, what he said, what she said, how it affected her, how it affected him. She did talk about that, but I kind of felt like she could have gone deeper. Also, her experiences in Hollywood, she talks about that, being a black actress or a black model, trying to stay afloat in Hollywood. The experiences that she's had, of course, a lot of rejection just because of the fact that she was black. Roles that she auditioned for that she really should have gotten but didn't because they weren't looking for an urban actor, or this wasn't an urban project, and so she got overlooked. Yeah, so she does talk about that. I felt like there probably were a ton of more stories on that, but she did give us enough to give us an idea of what she experienced in the modeling industry and in Hollywood. She also talks about she's a go-getter. Garcelle Beauvais is a go-getter. She's always working on something. She's got like 1,000 different projects going on at the same time, so she's definitely like a go-getter. What else do I have to mention that kind of struck my interest about her book? I read her book in about 2 days. Like I said, it was a very easy read. It was good. It was funny. And it was written in a very like conversational tone. Like she's just having a conversation with you. Like maybe y'all met up at Starbucks and having coffee, and she's just telling you about her life. Like if you would have asked her, "Hey, Garcelle, tell me a little bit about yourself," and then she starts talking about her life. That's how the book read, like a very conversational tone. Now, as far as like I said, she didn't go too much into like revealing like juicy details about certain people that she came across in Hollywood, which is what I was really looking for. She didn't do too much of that, except when she came to talking about her experience on The View. So when she auditioned for The View, and the way you audition is you host for about a week, and I guess at the end of that week, you have a conversation with the execs about whether or not they want to, like, are you a candidate or not, or whatever. So she did her little audition for the week. She doesn't go in on people too much, but I'm not gonna say she went in on those ladies on The View, but she definitely had an interesting experience on The View, and it revealed a lot about the women on The View at that time when she auditioned. And at the time that she auditioned, it was Whoopi Goldberg, Rosie Perez, some lady named Nicole. I forgot her last name. I think she was a press secretary or something under George Bush. Nicole somebody somebody or other. And I think also Joy Behar. I think she was also on at that time. So her experience on The View, her 1 week experience on The View was not the best. It was very interesting what she said about some of the ladies on The View. I found that part of the book extremely interesting. And also, what I found interesting was her whole experience with Kyle Richards and the whole charity event. She goes into great detail about that. Evidently, that really affected her because she believes that Kyle purposely tried to make her look bad. Like that was Kyle's entire intention, her whole intention of bringing up the fact that Garcelle did not pay for whatever charity item that she bid on. Garcelle believes that Kyle set her up and wanted to make her look bad because Kyle had ample opportunities to bring up the issue to Garcelle before the reunion, but Garcelle believes that Kyle purposely held on to that information until the reunion and then completely unleashed on Garcelle about that whole charity event, basically saying that, it was a charity event, you made a bid, you won the bid, you took advantage of the prize, which was a vacation to Mexico, I think. You went on the vacation and then you never paid for it. And so the charity people were out there wondering, like, what the hell? She bid on this charity item and she didn't pay for it. So she talks about that in great detail. And the way she talks about it, in my opinion, when I got to that section of the book, she talks about it as if she's really trying to like clean up her image or fix her image, which I didn't like. To me, I felt like it was underhanded the way Kyle brought that up. Like, you didn't pay for the charity item that you bid on. When Kyle brought that up, I thought she brought it up to be mean to Garcelle. I didn't think she brought it up like just trying to remind her, and she was completely like in a really innocent manner just trying to remind Garcelle, hey, by the way. No, she did it. It was really underhanded. I believe that she did it to smear Garcelle's reputation. And so Garcelle addresses that in the book, that she believes as well that that was Kyle's intention. So I never looked at Garcelle in a negative light. I didn't look at her like, oh my God, she bought a charity item and didn't pay for it. Like, what's wrong with her? I didn't look at it that way at all. I didn't think she was that kind of a person to begin with. But anyways, I don't know if people thought that way of her. I don't know if she was getting comments or backlash from the public about that. I don't know. But in the book, she goes in on Kyle. And she lets it be known that she did not appreciate that at all, and how it turned into like a race thing, for her to bring this up, for Kyle to bring this up, this is like you're making black people, me as a black woman, you're making me look a certain way. And, there's these stereotypes about black people not paying their bills and blah, blah, blah. And you were perpetuating that stereotype by bringing that up to me. So everything she said on the show, she puts that in the book as well, because I think she addressed all of that on the show. She had a conversation with Kyle, and she talked about that, the conversation that she had with Kyle one-on-one about, look, when you brought that up at the reunion, this is how it made me feel, this is how it made me look, you're perpetuating a stereotype of black people, and she brought the whole, she says that she doesn't think that Kyle is a racist, but it could be perceived that, if it was a white woman that did the same thing, some people can assume that Kyle would not have brought it up in that way, the way that she brought it up on Garcelle at the reunion. So she goes in on Kyle about that. Like I said, I feel like there were some aspects that she could have gotten a little bit deeper on, like just personally deeper. She does talk in great detail about her relationship with her father, which is extremely complex. She had a very, very complicated relationship with her father. As far as her mother was always there for her since day one until her mother passed away in 2008. She deals with the issues with her mother honestly. She deals with it very honestly and very delicately, with a lot of respect. She has a lot of love, a lot of love and respect for her mother. Her mother was a major influence in shaping Garcelle into who she is today. A lot of the things that her mother taught her, Garcelle carried on until this very day. So her mother was a great, great influence. Her mother made her into who she is, for sure. But there were issues there. Not issues. Let me take that back. There were no issues, but of course, there were certain aspects of her mom that Garcelle noticed that she was like, yeah, I don't think I'm going to pick up that particular, aspect of my mother. Yeah, I can't do that. So she was delicately critical of some of the things that her mother had chose to do with her life. But she dealt with it in a really respectful, loving, caring manner. Overall, you could tell that there was a lot of love between Garcelle and her mom. So that was nice. Her mom was a she paints her mom in a very beautiful, beautiful light in her book. She's very close with her siblings, especially her sister. She paints them also in a beautiful light. Like I said, she loves her friends. She paints them also in a very beautiful light. There is one particular friend who obviously she doesn't mention by name, that they had not a falling out, but they grew distant, and it has something to do with her divorce from her second husband. When she lost her husband, she also lost that particular friend, and she gives the reasons why on that. She loves being a mother to these boys. Oh my God, you can tell that she loves being a mom to these boys. Yeah, and of course and then she also talks about, like the reason why she's such good friends with Sutton, because I don't get it. She talked about that, and basically all she said was that they both were on the show. They're both new on the show at around the same time. They both came in as newbies, as freshmen to the whole franchise, and they connected on that level. And the fact that she said Sutton is just like her, like she's like a straight shooter, says what's on her mind, doesn't hold back, you know, confident woman, strong woman, whatever, whatever. And that's how her and Sutton bonded. She also talks glowingly of Erica. She says that her and Erica are a lot alike, She says that they're very honest women. They say what's on their mind. They don't hold back. They don't beat around the bush. The reasons why I felt like they should have been friends, but this season we see that they're not. She talks about Dorit, and she really admires Dorit's sense of fashion. And with Garcelle herself coming from the modeling world, she does admire that in Dorit. And of course, we know her issues with Kyle. And she also talks about Kathy Hilton, how Kathy Hilton surprised her. Just like her herself, Garcelle, she didn't want anyone to assume certain things about her because she was a black woman. Like she didn't want people to assume that she was going to be aggressive or argumentative, or that she was going to be this angry black woman, or she was going to bring an element of hood to the show, or that she was going to be very sassy with a lot of attitude. She didn't want those assumptions about her, but she had assumptions about Kathy Hilton. But when she met Kathy Hilton, those assumptions vanished. And so she mentions in the book, just like I didn't want people to assume things about me, I caught myself assuming things about Kathy Hilton, but those assumptions proved to be false. So she talks about Kathy Hilton. So all in all, it was a very good read. There were moments when she got too philosophical, too lofty in her ideas, for my personal taste. I don't want to read pages upon pages upon pages about, how you should take life by the horns, or you should always have a positive aspect on life and turn lemon into lemonade. I don't want to hear all that preachy stuff. And she kind of goes into that a little bit too much for my personal taste. She also has I think a chapter dedicated to shopping, and how shopping is very therapeutic for her and she enjoys it. And how it's like, a thing that she does all the time is a big part of her life. I don't want to hear about that. Her childhood in Haiti was interesting. Moving to Massachusetts was interesting. Moving to Florida, the school that she went to, the high schools that she went to, her experiences in Hollywood. She worked in the Playboy Mansion. Is it the Playboy Mansion? I don't know what it was, but I remember like in the 70s and 80s, there was like was it the Playboy Lounge or something? It was like a cocktail bar where the waitresses were dressed up like bunnies. She worked there. She talks about her experience there. Yeah, it was a good book. It was a good book, 4 out of 5. I learned a lot about Garcelle. I learned a lot about Garcelle. She's a very beautiful woman now, and I forget how breathtakingly beautiful she was when she was younger. I forgot how, like, there's a lot of photos at the end of the book, a whole bunch of photos of her growing up. She was a pretty girl. She was a beautiful woman. I forgot, like, yeah, this is the reason why she was successful. She was very successful in modeling, very, very successful in modeling. And so she was making a lot of money when she was a model in New York, taking care of her family, all of that. She had an encounter with Michael Jordan. She had an encounter with Eddie Murphy. She had an encounter with, not negative ones, Michael Jordan, Eddie Murphy. Those stories were interesting. She does talk about, oh, another thing that I realized when she talked about how she was a, she called herself a video vixen. You know, she's being real playful about it because she was in the Luther Vandross video. Can I take you out tonight? I think that was the name of the song. Can I take you out tonight? So she was his love interest in that music video. And she didn't mention the fact that she was also in R. Kelly's music video. I think the song was called Keep It on the Down Low. She was also in that video as well in the 90s, but she didn't mention that. And I'm wondering if it's because of all the legal issues that R. Kelly was involved in. That's why she left that part. But she didn't mention that. But she only mentioned the video that she did after the R. Kelly video, which was the video that she did with Luther Vandross. I thought that was interesting that she left one out. Anyway, that's it. That's my review. I've talked too much, almost 30 minutes about one book. Thank you so much for joining me. I really do appreciate it. On your way out, don't forget to rate the video if you like this content. Subscribe if you don't worry about it. Thank you for stopping by anyway and sharing your time with me. And I will definitely talk to you later. Bye.